So we're at Yalca Cemetery today. I've had to dub over this because the sound quality on the day was pretty bad, which was a bit annoying due to the weather, but we soldier on. So, Yalca North Cemetery is about 50 minutes away from Shepparton and about 3 hours-ish away from Melbourne. It's rather small, as you can sort of see, and there's still a lot of room to add more graves. Now, it's about opened about 1870. I can't get a solid number on that, I'm afraid. Um, and the reason why it is relatively empty is because a lot of people who want to have their service at a church do so in Nathalia or Namerka, and as a result get buried either town. So that's something. All right. So this grave has been propped up by metal uh, square tubing, I guess you'd call it. And I just sort of wanted to point out that some graves are maintained. So this is a fresh grave, and I just sort of wanted to show you this fresh grave. You can still see the tractor marks over there. Because I wanted to sort of show you that there's still quite a lot of new graves going in all of the time around here. Yalca North is more popular now than, well, what it's ever really been. And as I said before about people choosing to have their church services in other towns, resulting in them getting buried in other towns, that's clearly not an issue in the modern age. Not very many people bother with the church service. So there are a lot of Suttons at this cemetery, and I would not be exaggerating if I said there was take up about a third. Now, if you look at George Sutton, and I know I'm rushing in talking about this, but I wanted to point out that he used to put in occasional articles in the newspaper, the Numurkah Leader, but they're too long to post in here, which is a bit unfortunate. I wanted to point out this grave because I just thought it was really cool how someone has done the metal work on Elizabeth's little plaque. Now, these aren't original. Neither of them are, obviously. Someone's come in and replaced it all years and years later. So it's hard to know what it would have actually looked like at the time. So if you look at this stone, you'll see that it came out of Shep. And Shepparton would have been the closest fully operating stonemason. So there might have been other smaller towns that have done just the names and that sort of thing, but Shepparton would have been uh, one of the main spots for getting a headstone done from start to finish. And I just wanted to show you another Shepparton one. This is from a different mob doing them, so there would have been no shortage of different stonemasons in Shepparton, being the size Shepparton would have been back in those times. Now, I wanted to point these two graves out to you, the one on the right and the left, because I want to sort of make a point that in the last 20 odd years, headstones have gotten a bit prettier and a bit more personal. You can get a better idea of who a person was from their headstone now in comparison to 50, 100 years ago. So if you take the left one, I mean, you'll see a beautiful picture of Helen herself. And if you look at the left one, you can see that there's the little golden pictures up in both top corners that can give you a fair idea that, perhaps he liked woodworking or building stuff. And it's things like that that I really quite enjoy about going to graveyards. You can really get a sense of the person. The other thing I wanted to mention was that you don't see spelling mistakes in new headstones. And I say new as in the last 20 years, by the way. That's because they just use a special machine that takes the first couple of layers off and then they just redo it all again. So if they do happen to make the small chance that they will make a spelling mistake, it's no longer an issue because they can just machine it off, which I thought was really cool. So this one is another Sutton grave, and as I said to you, there is no shortage of Suttons here. So this is Lyle, and I knew Lyle when he was alive. He's my dad. And I wanted to tell you a little odd anecdote about him. So when he was alive, he used to he preferred to park at the back of parking lots around where there's no other cars. He hated parking near other cars. He'd always at least like to leave a couple of spaces. And what he would always find, it was within about 10 minutes, someone would park right next to him. And it would drive him nuts. And it's happened again. When he was first buried here, he was the only one. Like you can just see in the background how far away he was from another grave. And then all of a sudden, someone parked beside him, and then someone else. I just thought it was interesting that even in life, someone's trying to park, in death, I mean, someone's trying to park next to him. Now, I just wanted to show you this one because of the beautiful rose work. And I know this video just doesn't do it justice at all, but it's so beautiful and so carefully done, and there doesn't seem to be a single line out of place. It's just beautiful. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to find the headstones to the Brown brothers. I get the feeling they may be buried here in unmarked, which, given their tragic story of what happened to them, that's probably not all that surprising. So what happened was both brothers owned a farm together. And one day they had a bit of a disagreement, and one brother shot the other brother. Then the ploughman hears this gun go off inside and just like, what? And runs over to find the brother who shot the brother who is now dead, a bit remorseful, and the ploughman helps him put the body onto the bed, and then runs off to get help. When help arrives, so the police officers and the medical show up, they hear 2 more gunshots, and then they had to break down the door to get in. And what they found when they got in was 2 fellas in piles of blood. It looked like the living brother had shot the other brother again and then shot himself. So what would cause the need for someone to perhaps shoot their sibling over the breakfast table, you might ask? It was simply a disagreement of what they wanted to do with the farm, and it got out of hand, which I think is just nuts. To think that it would come to firing weapons just seems extraordinary to me. I will also post the full article in the links below.
So if you've liked this video and you want to see more, because let's face it, I want to make more, then you should probably hit like and subscribe. Also, leave us a comment. You want to know more information about one of the places I've covered? You want me to head somewhere? Come on. The only way I'm going to know is if you tell me.